When we tell the word spiritual, like, could you please tell me what the spiritual growth means according to you?
Spiritual growth is so important because I think in every stage of our lives, we think we've got it figured out. And then we realize, and each person has their own journey. Just like as I read the Holy Bible.
So you started the online, you have initiate online teachings, you are doing the podcast, you are running the newsletter to motivate the people. So you are doing all these things. So did you face any change after starting or after initiating all these things? Everyone, and back to the Winsple talk show. Today we are having absolutely amazing personality with us. She's Kayren Cathcart. She's an author, speaker, and life transition coach who empowers creative, purpose driven, high achieving women with a blueprint to navigate, transition, and master their lives. So let's start with her. Hi. Start with her. Hi, Kayren.
Hello, Priya. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm so delighted to be here.
Thank you. First of all, thank you so much for taking out your precious time.
I love connecting with folks and I love what you are doing to inspire people. So I definitely wanted to connect with you and your audience.
Thank you so much. It means a lot. Okay, so Kayren, I just want you to tell to my audience from where are you? What is your origin story?
I am currently living in Charlotte, North Carolina, in the United States. And that means that I am a Southern belle. Pretty much my whole experience has been on the East Coast of the US. However, I am very much committed to principles of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I love learning about all of the other cultures that are out there. I thought that I was pretty broad-minded, but I realized that if I haven't traveled outside of the US very much, there's a lot that I don't know. So I'm excited to learn more about you and your culture, Priya, and those that you are talking to every day. Being in the South, I am not around a lot of snow. We have lots of sunny weather. Things are pretty temperate here in North Carolina. I was born in Florida, but we moved from there, the Sunshine State, when I was 4 years old. My dad is retired military. He served 20 years in the U.S. Air Force. And the one place I did live overseas was I was in North Bay, Ontario, Canada during 5th grade. I did go and visit him when I was 4 years old when he was stationed in Korea. But I got to say, I think those are my two international trips, so I am looking forward to at this stage in my life, learning more, branching out, because I've kind of been a homebody. I'm like, I'm comfortable in my surroundings, but there's a great big wide world out there to discover. And I think now I'm in the place where I'm ready to jump in with both feet and see what all is out there. Now, my parents grew up in Greensboro, North Carolina, so I spent lots of time in that area, which is about an hour and a half from where I live now. I spent summers there, so I grew up there around a lot of my extended family, and now my parents currently reside in Hampton, Virginia, so they're about 5 hours away from me, and they live near the beach, which is really nice. I love the water, the seashore, the sand. It just, when I go and I'm around the waves, it just causes me to be centered and calm because I realize how big the sky is, how big the ocean is, and what a tiny speck in the universe I am. And it just puts everything in perspective for me.
Wow, that's great. Also, I just want to tell that Kayren is a dedicated enhancing personal effectiveness through spiritual growth and leadership development. So, when we tell the word spiritual, like, could you please tell me what the spiritual growth means according to you?
Spiritual growth is so important because I think in every stage of our lives, we think we've got it figured out. And then we realize, hey, there is more to learn, or I didn't see it from this perspective. For me, I am a practicing Christian and I believe in Jesus Christ as my Savior, and that informs my worldview. I believe that He speaks to us in all things. So when I started taking walks around my neighborhood, I would just notice things like little birds' nests. And I'm like, you know what? We're nestled. He takes care of us. God provides for all of our needs. And I was like, this is not by happenstance. This is not random. So I just started to really tune in to what are the messages of God's love around us. So enjoying the sunshine, enjoying nature, enjoying the people that He's put around us. And even as you came across my path, I received that as a blessing and a gift, because I'm like, I had no idea there was a Priya on this earth, and we had so much in common, even though our backgrounds are so different. So I'm just excited to embrace the growth as an individual, and to see that the spiritual part of it is what's going to really matter. It's like we can develop ourselves professionally, jobs come and go, but that spiritual aspect, that's been with us and that's going to continue to be. So I think that's why it's really important for us to embrace that as a journey and not a destination. That's kind of where I'm coming from at this time in my middle age life. I used to think I was still young, but now I realize I am advancing, I am developing, I am in middle age firmly, and I'm embracing it.
Yeah, and the best thing about spiritual growth is that humanity, kindness towards the people doesn't get restricted between the caste, gender, or between, it doesn't have any boundaries. For
It's
example,
a people issue. You're
it's,
right, a heart issue.
yeah,
I agree.
exactly. For example, there is one sister Nivedita from the 20th century. Her real name was Margaret Elizabeth Noble. She was born in Irish family, and she got spiritual awakening by Swami Vivekanand. So Swami Vivekanand is an Indian philosopher, and she's the most contemporary perfect example. When she got awakening of her atma, she would meditate for long hours. And the best thing, that when I told that spiritual growth is not restricted, she is the example, because she didn't serve into her country, but also she served humanity even outside her country and dedicated her life to it. So Sister Nivedita earned dignity in the hearts of the people of the then time, as well as the generations to come. For example, she's from 20th century, and still, I used to follow her traditions, her humanity. So I think spiritual growth is the type of the growth which is remembered nowadays, and the coming generations will be remembering about it. It is not about a certain period. So what do
I
you think of
agree.
this?
I agree. It is not about a certain period. And each person has their own journey. Just like as I read the Holy Bible, I read about people who lived and walked with Jesus. But the beautiful thing is that I can develop my own relationship with Jesus now. So it's not just historical, it's in the present, it's current, it's living, it's a breathing relationship. So as each day we embrace the opportunity to grow, we don't have to be stagnant. And I think that there's a lot of hopelessness in the world because people think there is nothing else, there's no more. But when we really do have that spiritual awakening, as you said, our eyes are open to the fact that there's so much more. And God put it here for us to enjoy. He put us here to connect with one another and to make each other's lives better. So I think that, when we're all focused on ourselves and trying to achieve, and step on other people as we climb to the top, we lose focus and we lose perspective. And I think that's how a lot of that emptiness comes into the hearts of folks. But if we're working together, collaborating, I mean, it's so fulfilling to see that as we reach a goal, we've got a community around us. We've got people who are walking with us arm in arm. And that makes it so much more valuable, I think.
Exactly. So, Karen, as a wife of 22 years, mom of two teenagers, and a creative soul who worked in a corporate environment for over 2 decades. So, Karen, my question to you is achieving everything like motherhood, a businesswoman, a beautiful, caring wife. So, how you manage all these things?
Well, first of all, Priya, I don't know if I'm managing all of these things. I think that that has been a part of my personal development journey as well as my spiritual growth journey, learning how to be my best in each of these roles, but not necessarily being perfect. And I think I put a lot of pressure on myself early on as a wife, early on as a mother, to try and be perfect, to try and make sure everything was just so. And I got to the point probably after child number two where I said, you know what? It might have come out of a box, but they're getting fed before 8 p.m., so it's good. Whereas before I was like, oh, it needs to be on the table with a napkin, fork, and spoon. And, sometimes that happens and we put effort in, but sometimes the standards that we set for ourselves are not realistic in light of all that might be going on in our lives. So I am grateful to have a husband who is very patient with me and very understanding. And he has been my companion as I have grown. So we've grown together, but he's 11 years older than I am. So some of the footsteps he already took that I was just approaching. And so he was like, you know what? I have to realize she's younger. She's not really aware of some of these things. So as I was discovering myself and growing in my role as a wife, he gave me space to blossom and to become, because it's like I knew what I wanted to do, I knew how I wanted to execute, but it's just like if you can't do all of these things at one time, okay, learning to put systems in place. For me, I am a very schedule driven person. That does not mean that I am perfect or super organized. Well, I am organized, but it's kind of like organized chaos. But I think that every woman needs to find the system that works for her. I have a paper calendar. I have a calendar on the side of my refrigerator where I ask everybody in my family to write up on the marker board what's important for that week that I need to see when I'm walking past, if I need to take somebody somewhere to a mentoring program, take them to work, pick them up at a certain time. So managing those logistics of a household, but also making sure to carve out time for not only my spouse and I, but time to breathe, time to have white space. That has become really important to me, realizing that I need to have some time that is not scheduled, just so I can reflect, just so I can breathe, so I can go outside, take that walk, and enjoy nature. I'm learning to be more intentional about that. And now I'm learning to get really militant about my time.
Great.
Because it's like if I don't fight to protect and put boundaries around my time, other people are going to find things for me to do. And because I am a recovering people pleaser, I didn't like to say no, but I have learned that saying no to something good can mean saying yes to something great. So it's not necessarily that I am rejecting someone else or saying they're not important. It's just saying that I've already got something in the works going on and I want to complete that, because I have had multiple things started and not completed any of them. And in this season, I'm realizing, you know what? Got to focus, got to
Yes.
finish something, then move on to the next thing. Because I think that multitasking is a myth, that we fall into the trap of saying, oh, well, I can be typing this and listening to this podcast and I've got something in the oven. Well, yeah, but we get really mentally tired and drained when we do all of that. So I'm learning to slow down, be intentional, and find out what's really important for me to do right now.
True.
Did
Yes.
I answer your question? I feel like I went all the way around the barn.
No, no, you answered very perfectly. Like, so you started the online, you have initiate online teachings, you are doing the podcast, you are running the newsletter to motivate the people. So you are doing all these things. So did you face any change after starting or after initiating all these things? Did you face any particular change in your life?
Absolutely. I think that I had to find out what is the one common thread that
Mhm.
flows through all of these things that I'm doing. And it boils down to I love helping people. I love encouraging, inspiring, and motivating people. So there are different ways to do this. There are different methods, channels, and methodologies to get this done. But at the end of the day, I'm a communicator, I'm a connector. So if I'm reaching out to make someone smile through a podcast, through my YouTube show, the Combo Lab, and I know we're going to schedule you to come on and visit. Can't wait. If I'm doing it through a book, or just my inspirational email, which I just love having conversations with folks. So when I write, it's like my heart pouring out on paper. So when I write, it is completely authentic. It's 100% me. Like I don't hold back. I don't put on a mask. I am very transparent. So anything that I can do to share my experience with folks, I think that as I have grown and developed and learned and become more mature, I realize how important it is to just tell the truth to people. It's like, okay, yeah, I'm now in middle age. This is what I'm dealing with. When my children were preteens, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm a bad mom. Da da da. And I had to some friends who had children who were a little older than me. And a friend said, Kayren, you're not crazy. You're teenagers. You're crazy. And that took a huge weight off of my shoulders because I was just trying to be like, oh, why can't I fix this? I can't fix everything. They have choices to make of their own. There's lessons they have to learn. All I can do is set the framework as a good parent to want to protect them and also to be there when they come back and have questions that they might have made a decision I might not have recommended, but that's how they learn. So I think that that's how we've grown as a family, just to realize that each person has a part to play. Each person is growing at a different pace, but we are joined together as a unit. So how can we support and help one another? So family has been tremendously significant as I have reached out to others to share. So a lot of what I share is about family. It's about how we maintain our identity as women in the context of being a family member, in the context of being a wife, being a mom, working outside the home, or whether you work inside the home. All of these are roles, but who we are at the core, I think it's really important for us to get to know what that is. And so it goes back to that spiritual awakening and being really, I won't say comfortable in, but acknowledging and embracing. And then you can get comfortable in it when you recognize the power and the beauty of what it means to be a woman.
Yes, true. And yeah, I think we all should embrace ourselves, the good, the bad, and the ugly, and accepting ourselves as just as we are on the path to robust emotional life. And
I love
sometimes
that.
sometimes it's completely fine not to be okay. We cannot, as
Mhm.
human beings, just choose only the emotions we want to have, and it simply does not work the way. So feeling all our feelings, painful or not, keep us grounded in the present moment. So instead of being into a toxic positivity and being in the toxic negativity, we need to choose some middle path. And somewhere, if we are not able to cope up, it's completely fine, because as a human beings, sometimes we had the trait of being good, jealousy, greedy, sad. But somewhere, we, somewhere we all have that positivity inside ourselves, because when we see someone closer, when if there's one person who is very close to us, and if we see that person sad, we obviously get sad, because we have the emotions, and it means we are
The empathy,
still.
yeah, we care.
Exactly. So I think it's completely fine, instead of being into very toxic positivity or being into very toxic negativity. I think we should be in somewhere middle, and it's completely fine to find a person like Karen to talk, and to share your emotions, because I think she's the perfect example of the women, educated women. The way, Karen, to be honest, the way you are sharing your things, and the way you are slow down while answering my questions, and answering in so depth, it shows how much interested you are in, giving care to the people, to serve the nation. And I think I can find all these traits of being, of being kind, humanity, and other things while you are speaking. Because in
Oh,
your each
thank
and
you,
every
Frida.
line, while being it's about yourself, if I ask something about yourself, if I some asking something about the people, you always bring the word uh serve, like how to serve to the people, how to be nice to the people. And I think this is going to be my best podcast of being
Oh, I'm so
sharing the
excited to
people with
be
you.
part of it. But it's the best because of what you are doing. And I've looked over some of the things that you've done since you've started, and I'm just so encouraged because I'm like, you are young, you're vibrant, energetic. So that's why I wanted to be a part of this podcast because I think you are doing great things. And I love what you said about we're not always 100% on or always feeling happy. And I do try to focus on the positive, but I've also come face to face with reality. And there are times when we have tragedies. There are times when we are feeling really down. And that's when it's important to have a community. It's important to know who your support network is to be able to reach out to. I had a family member to pass away, and I it took me years to get over it. And I felt like I was trying to be strong for my mom, trying to be strong for the other folks in my family. And so one day I was watching a SpongeBob episode of the cartoon, and I was like, why are my eyes leaking? And I called a friend, and she was like, Karen, you never gave yourself the grace or the time to properly grieve the loss. And I was like, and it just all came out a year later, a year after that person had passed away. And so there were years that I went through processing, hey, I really miss this person. Hey, they really had a profound impact on my life. And that was significant. It helped shape me into the woman that I am. And so it had to have been a good 7, 8, or 9 years after that event that I was like, oh, it doesn't hurt as much anymore. But it was a process. And I had a friend who actually came to my house one day with it was Thanksgiving Day, because that was the anniversary of when my grandmother passed away. And so sometimes it would be really great. And other times it would be like, oh man, we always had dinner at grandma's house on Thanksgiving and grandma's not here anymore. Ah! And so I didn't feel like getting dressed that Thanksgiving. I wanted to stay in my bedroom in my pajamas with the blinds closed in the dark. And my husband called that friend of mine, and she came over and sat in the bed with me, and she was like, girl, it's going to be all right. And I mean, these are the kind of people that we need with us on life's journey. The folks that are going to not just see us when we've got on lipstick and our hair looks good, but when we've got, the crust coming out of our eyes and we haven't brushed our teeth yet, and they'll still come alongside us and give us a hug and be like, what can I do to support you? Sometimes they can't fix it, but just the presence being there. And so that's what I want to do. I want to help shine that light of hope, because there are so many negative things going on in the world that if I can help to shift the narrative, and help us to refocus our perspective to see there's some really good things going on in the world. And even if they're not in my corner of the world, I have the ability to impact and affect change. I think this is what really charges me, what gets me going every day. If I can help people to see that spark of hope, then I feel fulfilled. So that my conversations, everything that I do, that I write is to help inspire, motivate, and encourage folks. Not to say that things aren't bad, not to say that, everything is perfect and like a bowl of cherries with whipped cream on top. No, that's not so. But can we see the positive? Can we see, I'm getting up today to do something to make a difference? I
True.
could do one thing and start there. I used to get really overwhelmed, like the big picture. Oh, I can't fix world peace. Well, no, I can't fix world
Yes,
peace, but I can have peace in my household. I can
yes,
be a
yes,
part
yes,
of doing something to impact my neighborhood. I can start there.
yes, yes. So, Akshay, what motivates you for all these things?
I think I like to see things get better. I like to see transition. And so, yes, I am a life transition coach, but I think that I became what I felt I needed in my life. When I started realizing, hey, I'm transitioning from a mom of infants to toddlers to elementary school students to preteens, hello, to teenagers, and now they're young adults. So I have to change my intro because my son will be 20 this week and my daughter will be 18 in a couple of months and graduating from high school. So they were going through transitions. And then I had this light bulb moment where I realized I was going through transitions too. So when people pass away out of our lives, when people come into our lives, when we have a change of a relationship, there are so many transitions. And I said, I wanted to learn from the wisdom of others who had successfully navigated their transition. So I wanted to be there for people so that they wouldn't put that pressure on themselves that I put on myself to say, you know what? It's okay. Like I had a friend who was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to change diapers. I was like, girl, you'll be fine. When the baby gets here, you'll be able to do it. And she's great. The child is 4 now and she's an amazing mother. So I think that we sometimes worry about things before they happen. And it's like we find the grace, we receive that gift when we need it. Like it's the funniest thing. My mom tells me, she's like, oh my gosh, you're doing all this cooking and everything. I lived with my grandmother before I got married. I didn't need to
Yes,
cook. I was never going to be as great a cook as she is. But when I got married, I had to feed my family. So I'd find little recipes on the internet. And now, 22 years later, I think I've gotten pretty good. And so my mom's like, you're cooking. I'm like, yeah. So we grow, we
yes,
develop, we transition. It's all a part of this life journey. And it's good to know that we don't stay the same. Like I always joke with my husband. I said, I was perfect when you married me. What is all of this about? You want me to change and I need to change. But to look back and reflect and see how not perfect I really was, and then to see what I could do to continuously improve and get better and grow as an individual and as a part of a marital relationship and as a mother and as a daughter and as a friend, as an employee. I think that has started to excite me because it's like, you think people start at this level. They don't. It's a process. It's a transition. It's gradual. Sometimes we just put the spotlight, like in social media, on folks who are at a certain level, but everybody has a process to getting there. We don't glorify or glamorize the work that it takes or the tears that are shed behind closed doors. So I just think that embracing the totality of that journey, that's kind of where I'm at.
yes, true. I think right now, like, while you were speaking about on the things transition, positivity, I just got this idea, thing into my mind. So right now we are having gmail.com, yahoo.com, and they are 100% secure. Like, we can't have any other Gmail ID. So I think we should redirect all these things for a better return by incorporating internet home features in our daily lives. How we can implement
Mm.
in our daily lives now, for example, for example, in mail there's always one inbox message. Now that inbox in our life should be, grabbed with the life of inspiration people who are living with the positive attitude in this situation. Now the other column in Gmail is draft. Now we should prepare the list of do good, become good resolution and keep it in the draft section. Now another, I think other is contacts. Now we should have only that contacts in our list who inspire us, who guide us, who help us to make a progressive direction. And then there's one another column which means trash. And I think while moving on the road of life, we also happen to come across the situation where we meet failures. And when we encounter such failures, we get shattered, depressed, sad. But in such times, we should put all these things into the trash box of our life mailbox, and we should junk all the thoughts of demotivation, and we should come with the happiness and keep only those messages in our inbox which inspire us, which help us to learn the lessons from our failures so that we can reach our ultimate goal. So what do you think on this?
I brought my pom pom today, and I didn't know why I brought it, but that right there was pom pom worthy. I love to celebrate and throw confetti and glitter and give you a gold star sticker because I agree 100% completely, Priya. We have to hit delete on those things that are no longer serving us. And it's a little ironic that I would say that because I tend to be a little bit clutter prone because I like to keep things as a catalog because I can go back and put my hands on something. But purging is really important. I sometimes, well, no, I need help with letting things go. And I am learning to put that support system and network around me to help me get those things out, whether it's stuff in my closet that I can't wear anymore, or if it's, books and papers, which I think are sacred if they are written on, but if they're not serving me anymore, if it's just accumulating but not adding value, gotta make room for some better things coming in. And the same with relationships. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's hard. It's not saying that the person is bad. It's just we're in different places and we come back into each other's lives at different phases, and then we've grown and it's like, oh, now we're more mature. We're able to appreciate each other more.
Okay, so Karen, my next question is, what's one idea that you think the majority of people get wrong?
I think I'll just use my example of what I have learned. And it kind of comes from my work experience. I have been fortunate enough to be with the same corporate organization for 20 years, and I've served in different roles. I have grown through the organization and gone from a salaried employee to gone from an hourly employee to being a salaried employee, and seeing different parts of the company. And I think that I had an idea of success. Like once I become this title, then I will have made it. And sometimes we get to the top of the ladder we've been climbing and we look around and we realize we put it up against the wrong wall. And instead of being discouraged at a time like that to say, oh, I put all this effort in to get this degree or to get this certification or recognition, acknowledgement, accolade, a lot of these things we're doing it for other people or we're doing it to fill a void inside of us. But when we realize, what is it that really drives me? What motivates me? What makes me happy? It might not be money. It might not be what's popular with folks these days. But if this is my purpose, if this is what I was put on the planet to do, then I have to pursue that passion. So I think that giving ourselves enough latitude to restart, to make a U-turn, and I am directionally challenged, so I use GPS an awful lot. You could get to one destination and realize, hey, this is not what I thought it was. And to be able to turn around and say, I want to try a different direction. I think we have to be patient enough to
Mm-hmm.
realize, okay, I spent all of this time or all of this energy getting to point B, and this is not where I want to be. To realize it's okay to pivot. I think that's where I am in my life. Just realizing that the stuff that I thought was super significant, maybe it's not. Once I get there and I look at it and examine it, it's like, this is not what I thought it would be. It's like, it's nice, but it's not giving me that sense of fulfillment or purpose. So, what's next? And I think that, instead of saying, okay, I have arrived, I have got my 20 years. Well, no, this is not the end. This is just another beginning. So, I'm always looking at what's next. It's nice to see the now, but we have to plan for what's next because otherwise we'll be stagnant and bored and unfulfilled. And I just don't believe that we were put on the planet to just exist and just walk through life and then to be done. There's so much more. And when we connect with like-minded people who are excited about life, it's so much better. And I'm so glad that I found you, Priya.
Yeah. So, okay. So my last question is like, if you do you have any message for our listeners, or if you had the attention of the whole world for 5 minutes, what will be your message, and how our listeners, our audience can support your work?
Oh, awesome. Well, I would love for your audience to connect with me. My website is right here, KayrenCathcart.com. If you click on there, there's a place for you to subscribe. I would love for you to receive my messages. I send them out on Wednesdays at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, once a week, and I'm developing more writing, more blogs, more everything, just to put more inspiration and positivity, encouragement, and motivation into the world. So I would love to initiate that conversation with your audience. Second, if I could tell the world anything, I would encourage each person to acknowledge the power of love, because we do a lot of things for a lot of reasons. But if we are motivated by love, it changes the trajectory, it changes the outcome. When we love what we do, when we love the people we're doing it for, when we love the people that we're doing it with, it just becomes such an enriching experience, and other people want to get involved. So I think I'm all about starting movements, and it begins with that, throwing that one pebble into the pond, and then we see those concentric ripples. So everything that we do can have an impact. I'm just committed to encouraging people to make it a positive impact. And you never know what one thing that you do is going to have an effect on someone else for the better. So whether that love comes out in a smile, whether it's a kind word, whether it's just writing a blog post and posting it, or something on social media to make someone have a different thought, because people have moments, and they could be going in one direction, and something that you say at the right time could help turn the tide for them. I find that incredibly powerful. And so I don't want us to underestimate or undervalue the power we have as individuals and collectively when we come and join together for positive reasons. That's what I would say.
Yes, and here I want to add one thing, that today we believe we are just common people, and we give ourselves regular goals of materialistic life. But it is said in the Bible that there is one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. it also Bible also says that God made man in his own image. Truly,
Mhm.
our real nature is that of divinity. God is within us, and because we are not aware of this, we employ all our time in trivial issues of the world, which will not last. So, I think we should find the purpose of a life, and we'll try to give 100% into it. And no one is going to be here for last. So let's try to spread positivity in the world. Let's help someone else. Let's kind to someone else so that this world can be a good place to live.
Amen, Priya.
Yeah, so that's all from my side. So, Karen, do you want to add something for me or something, anything you want to give any feedback?
I think that this has been such a rich conversation, and I thank you for extending the opportunity for me to join you and your audience. I look forward to learning more from you and about your culture. And I just think that this is the beginning of a fantastic relationship, friendship, and sisterhood. I am grateful.
Yes.
My heart is so overflowing today. Thank you.
Same here, same here. Thank you so much, Karen, to share the valuable knowledge with me and with my audience. And I'm sure that our audience is going to love this. So again, thank you so much for taking out your precious time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
great day.
you.